For my author discussion, I will be going over W.E.B. Du Bois' criteria for Negro art. And I chose this topic initially because I took AP US history in high school, and um, Du Bois was just one of the most interesting black leaders to me because he was very, very strong in his beliefs, and I just wanted to learn a little bit more about him in depthly. So, a background and his life highlights. He was born on February 23rd, 1868. He was mixed, and he lived in like a tolerant neighborhood and went to an integrated school. So he did deal with some racism. So that's what kind of sparked his ability to be this big leader. He was primarily educated at Harvard College. Um, at the end of the 1880s and the beginning of the 1890s. He then became a published author and professor at the Wilberforce College in Ohio, and his best known works are The Atlantic Monthly, The Dial, and The Souls of the Black Folk. He was the editor of The Crisis, which was the magazine and the established publication for the NAACP. So it was pretty noble of him to have that position, and it just showed his dedication to the NAACP. His views opposed Booker T. Washington's the Atlantic Compromise because he wanted full and equal rights almost immediately, which seemed far out of reach, but for him, he was just very persistent on what he believed in, and he was willing to do a lot to get there. So, criteria for the Negro art is an essay he wrote, and the general overview it's talking about the principles that all art is propaganda, all Negro art. He overviews the types of beauties. He believed that the creation of Negro art was to uplift racial pride. So propaganda, is to persuade and start thinking more about how to make, blacks and whites equal. That's what his ultimate goal was. Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, which we have read about both of them, they opposed his views because they were more like with Booker T. Washington, and they just didn't really want to publicize the creative output, and they thought he was resisting like um, their traditions of African American literature. Basically, he wants the recognition, like contributions and recognition for Negro art to be a bigger deal and to be more honored and to truly see the beauty that is made. So, in his essay, he shares some big concepts, and this slide is going to be talking mostly about his how the art can really show the beauty of the black culture. So one of the quotes is, "We want to be Americans, full-fledged Americans, with all the rights of the American citizen. But is that all? Do we want simply to be Americans?" Du Bois begins his essay by emphasizing his views in the form of questions. So that truly gets the reader thinking and trying to understand what his concept he is trying to get across. He's known for his very radical views, so the strong language is clear to the readers that by using these questions like, yes, we want to be Americans, yes, it's just more than that. And so next, he said they carried perhaps a sense of strength and accomplishment, but their hearts had no conception of the beauty which pervaded this holy place. So he begins to get his main idea of the beauty of art Right off the bat, he states the power of art can be held in a society. He um, he basically says the beauty of black art is not forced but generated from passion. It's not there's not like this intense thought. It's just what comes from the mind because the Negro art could truly see the beauty. So next is after all, who shall describe beauty? Du Bois implies that the experience and lifestyles that African Americans are going through at this time truly let them acknowledge that beauty when it is there. So that's why he is so strongly connected with Negro art because he believes that they can push past what has been done and show beauty through their art. Next, another concept analysis is the that Negro art is propaganda. Thus, all art is propaganda and ever must be despite the wailing of the purists. I stand in utter shamelessness and say that whatever art I have writing has been used always for propaganda for gaining the right of black folk to love and joy. So he's making his point clear towards like the middle of the essay that the Negro art is propaganda and it does help the Negroes, pride, and he is really against any kind of art that is not used for propaganda. He believes the idea of beauty is exemplified heavily through the Negro art and should be appreciated by African Americans and the whites too. So then he goes to say white artists themselves suffer from narrowing of their field. Du Bois suggests that the white art does not represent true beauty of art because they have always been granted freedom, so they do not know struggle from beauty. So by this, it's just he kind of doesn't appreciate the white art because he simply believes that they've kind of been handed everything to them. So how could they know true beauty if they have never felt struggle? So the third concept I would like to go over is his the perception and the recognition he would like. So the ultimate judge has got to be you, and you got to build yourself up into that wide judgment. We can afford the truth. White folks today cannot. So although Du Bois strongly believes in the art of propaganda, he is still concerned about the ways white will perceive the art. Obviously, because the whites are already so critical and not accepting of the blacks, he just wants to he's concerned with how they will see this art, if they'll judge it harshly and not understand the beauty of it. So he wants to put all of full heart and truth into the art so the white folks will be able to distinguish their reality because it's very rarely that they get to experience something beautiful because of the way they're treated and how they're viewed in society. So then, just as soon as true art emerges, just as the artist appears, someone touches the race on the shoulder and says, he did that because he was American, not because he was a Negro. So he basically shares that his thoughts of how white people react to the Negro art. He wants to get through to the whites that they're also human and their ability to create art and capabilities is the same as any other human. So he just believes that their art should get full recognition and be appreciated by the black artists, should be appreciated by all of society because they truly do create a beautiful scene. And that is what I have on criteria for Negro art. I did enjoy this article and I was able to access it on this link, and it was very helpful to be able to have a online document, and so that is all I have. Um, so yeah, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.